Let's head over to Uganda. Across the globe, access to COVID-19 vaccines is enabling countries to reopen their economies and get back to semblance of normalcy, especially after 18 months of pandemic-induced shutdowns. But across Africa, though, critically low vaccine supply is proving to be a much bigger barrier to a desperately needed economic recovery. And analysts are arguing that in some countries, like Uganda, vaccines will do little to revive economic activity unless they're complemented with fiscal reforms. From Kampala, here's CGTN's Michael Baleke.
Uganda is coming out of a more deadly second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. More than 2,800 people have died from the virus. But the pandemic has also left the economy on its knees and struggling to stay afloat.
We've learned from Ministry of Finance that they're experiencing roughly 40% shortfall in domestic revenue collection. This is significant because the financial year has just started. So it means this can actually increase to close to 50 or 60%.
Uganda's president has partially lifted the country's second lockdown, allowing businesses and public transport to reopen. However, the signs of economic recovery remain modest. The government's strategy is to inoculate at least 22 million people, a move authorities believe will reduce severe disease but also concentrate more resources towards salvaging the economy.
The only way we can all return back to what seems to be normal life is after vaccination and observance of the standard operating procedures.
More than 1.1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines have been administered in Uganda so far. Like many other African countries, Uganda is struggling to secure enough vaccines to inoculate its target population of 22 million people. But economic analysts argue that getting jabs into people's arms will not address all the challenges facing the economy.
We need to think a bit longer term, in the medium term, of how to overhaul the economy, putting some resources in the real economy, in agriculture, in agro-processing, strengthening backward and forward linkages.
Even before the pandemic, Uganda's economy was on shaky ground. The border closure, following a diplomatic row with Rwanda, the Kenya trade wars, and the insecurity in South Sudan and the eastern DR Congo have affected the country's export earnings. Uganda's tightly controlled response to the COVID-19 pandemic seems to have paid off in terms of physical health, with the numbers of new infections coming down to 100 compared to over 1,000 per day a couple of months ago. But the continuous lockdown measures have not been good for people's economic health. They are believed to be driving more people into severe poverty. According to the World Bank, global extreme poverty is expected to rise this year, with the COVID-19 pandemic pushing an additional 150 million people into extreme poverty, especially in low-income countries like Uganda.
We need to address issues of production, productivity, issues of markets.
Unfortunately, Uganda, like other African countries, has what we call a limited fiscal space. It doesn't have sufficient money to do what is necessary. So if you talk about a liquidity program, for instance, to support businesses, you find that you just can't support everyone.
While Uganda's economic outlook remains uncertain due to the unpredictable path of the pandemic, the government says getting more jobs into arms is essential if economic growth is to return to its full potential. Michael Baleke, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.